Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ethiopian space program, where we just finished some tourism flights for some sweet cash. And I want to check in here and just double check that there's not really anything we want to do here. Actually, science data from space around the moon, super doable. We're going to take that one, and we should actually be able to immediately complete that. So let's hop over to our communication satellite that is already over the moon. And we'll just grab this. We'll grab some science from here. We do have a thermometer on here somewhere. Here it is. We'll log that, and we'll transmit. Yeah, we get no science from it. But what we do get is a completed contract, which does include 3 science. Fantastic. Back to the Space Center with us. So now we need to decide what contract we want to do next, and the correct answer is one of them. Satellite in specific orbit of the moon. This is not really something we need to do. Adjusted orbit of Kerbal. I'm going to hold off on all of these, I think. Because what I want to do is I want to work on exploring Kerbal and bringing Moonstone back with you. Now, one thing we could definitely do is explore Kerbal really quick. So I want to take a look at our current orbit for our communication satellite here. We'd have to do a polar orbit. How much DV do we have in the Mark 1 ComSat? Because this orbit is not very adjusted. We might want to do this for the cache. We have 351 meters per second here, which may not be enough. This is a pretty old model, of course. Yeah, I think we're going to just leave that be for now. Let's just go ahead and rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of Kerbal. We'll have to do it either polar or we'll have to send up a new ComSat, which I wouldn't actually necessarily mind doing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop into the VAB. And once we're in the VAB here, we're going to not save that. We're going to open up the... Let's see here. I want the France ComSat Mark II. Okay, and then this guy, this is wildly overkill for what we're going to do with it. At least for now. We're going to adjust the orbit later on, but for now we're just going to send the France ComSat Mark II up into orbit, into an equatorial orbit, and a fairly low one. We are going to make this orbit much higher later. But for right now, for purposes of a rendezvous, we can say, like, I don't know, maybe the satellite is going to have an issue and we need to go fix it or something. That could work. So for right now, we are going to launch this guy right on out of here. Excellent. Once again, I might want to change the side that these are on, but I probably will never remember to, in all honesty. So up we go, Flight Engineer, you're as usual in the way. When isn't Flight Engineer in the way? I mean, we could hide the Flight Engineer window, which, that's the toolbar controller. We could hide the Flight Engineer window like that. And that's actually not necessarily the worst idea right now. There we go. So we're going to make our way on up. This is, I believe, the variant that does have a mystery goo on it. That's probably something I should have checked and changed. We're going to go ahead and start moving over to the prograde marker here. And we're a little bit off in terms of our inclination, which isn't necessarily great, but it's not actually a problem. Okay, we're just going to hold right around here. We've got a bit of a rotational issue. That's fine. We'll just go ahead and hop over to the prograde marker for now. And we'll ditch those on out of there. We're still low enough that I do want to have the fairing. Okay, we'll just hold right here for now. Our apoapsis is about 30 kilometers, and we're going to need to continue to get a little bit more speed. I'm going to do some rolling here just to get us there. There we go. Now we should have the control that I want. And we'll sit right around here for now. I want to get our apoapsis a little higher before we hit the horizontal phase. It doesn't need to be tremendously higher, I suppose. But we're going a little bit... I wouldn't say this is slow necessarily, but our altitude is not super high. It doesn't necessarily have to be, though. So let's just head on over to here, and then we'll wait for a little bit here and get some altitude. We are going to have to burn this stage a little bit for our orbit, but that's fine. We fully expect this. I have no problems with that at all. Apoapsis height is currently up at about 50 kilometers. We're putting the vast majority of our fuel into horizontal speed right now, which I'm okay with. I'm completely fine with that. We've still got 600 meters per second left in this thing, too. So this is not bad. Once we hit 50 kilometers, I'll go ahead and deploy this. We're not there yet. Just going to head on over to the prograde marker. We're not quite on it. There we go. We're at 50 kilometers. We'll ditch our fairing. And we are now in space with the apoapsis. That's great. We're a little bit far away from the apoapsis, so I will stop our burn here and we'll enter a coast phase. We do have a lot of horizontal velocity, though. Look at that. That was a pretty decent descent, all things considered. Not perfect by any means, but it'll do. We'll do something like this. We only have 29 meters per second left here. That's okay. We're going to wait until we get into space to actually burn this. And we'll run the calculation of how, or rather when we want to burn this once we're in space. We're almost there. Trying to hold on the node here a bit. We don't have much in terms of authority here. We do have an SAS on here, right? That was an upgrade I meant to put on, but I guess I didn't. Okay, we do want to have an ASAS on here. We're in orbit, or rather in space, as of now. Excellent. So this is going to be a burn time of 40 seconds, so we want to do this at T-minus 20. We'll just get oriented for that. Just slowly making our way over to the correct orientation. There we go. We will go ahead and time warp to T-minus 20 seconds. Okay, fairly close there. And mark. And off we go. Burning that last little bit of DV in that first stage. But we've got so much DV in this thing that it's not a concern for what we want to do. We'll just go ahead and get our apoapsis achieved here. We are currently about 2 seconds from apoapsis, but it's actually slowed down a little bit because of our velocity increase. Okay. I do wish we could hold prograde. That would be nice to have that unmanned tech. We would have to upgrade our R&D for that to happen, of course. This is good enough. This is plenty good enough. Okay, for now, we are going to go ahead and extend this antenna. There we go. And we'll just let this hold right here. Now, this is not the final destination for this satellite. I want to be very clear about that. This is not the final destination. But we are going to be like, maybe there's a problem with it. Somebody forgot to like remove the plastic peel from the solar panels, so we're kind of running low on energy. We need somebody to go up there and, you know, deal with that. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to run a servicing mission to do our rendezvous. Excellent. And we're going to go ahead and open up... I don't think we need a free India here. We might want to go with a Timor Mark 1. This is the variant, of course, without the extra tourist seats, and that's okay. Sanzor, you're not supposed to exist. I may have created an issue here. Why does Sanzor still exist? Let's hop into the area over here and see if we can deal with that. We brought him back, quote-unquote, safely, and he should be fine. But he should not be here. He is available for sightseeing. Can we deal with this, perhaps, in the console menu? Perhaps. Sanzor is currently considered available. This creates Kerbals, but we don't seem to be able to destroy Kerbals here. Okay, well, Sanzor might just exist forever then. Unless we specifically kill him. That might be a later mission. For now, I want to get this rendezvous done. So what we're going to do is we're going to send up the Timor Mark 1. I don't think it matters who is in this. Everyone has basically the same XP except for Bill, and he's in it anyway. So let's go ahead and launch this. This is, once again, massively overkill for what we're trying to do, but I want to make sure that we have the correct amount of DV. I just want to make sure we have enough. We have more than enough. So that's great. We're going to launch this, and of course we're going to be chasing this satellite, which is going to be awkward for us. That is for sure. Because we are going to have to catch up with the satellite, right? So it's going to be interesting. But we'll manage it. No big deal. More specifically, we're probably going to have to let it catch up with us. But we'll see how that ends up working. I mean, we could do the retrograde technique. Over Kerbin, that's a lot of extra DV that I kind of don't want to spend. Like, a ludicrous amount of DV. At least when we're in this low. So, I'd rather not do it retrograde, for sure. We're just slowly making our way over to the prograde marker, of course. And we are currently a little bit low to probably be locking prograde. We'll just hold here for now. But we do, of course, need to go service that satellite. I can't believe Bob forgot to pull the plastic peel off of those solar panels. That's just insane. Like, how could he do that? How did that get through our QA? Like, surely we have things to detect this, right? I'm so confused. Well, we're going to go ahead and hold retrograde, or rather prograde at this point. Retrograde would be a terrible thing to hold right now. We're going to hold prograde right now. And we are accelerating rather dramatically, but that's okay. We are at 60 kilometers. And we're going to have our side boosters detach right now. Off we go. Excellent. And we are pushing up to 100 kilometers. We want to be a little bit over the other orbit. Let's go ahead and push that up slightly. I'm going to push it up to like 1.1 or 101 kilometers just because we're going to have some drag happening here. That's fine. We'll go ahead and do a prograde burn. And that will be about like this. We want to encapsulate that orbit pretty well. That'll be fine. This is allegedly going to be a 2-minute burn. I'm not sure it's going to actually be a 2-minute burn. We are, of course, going to want to move over to the maneuver node, though. So let's go ahead and go there now. And we are entering space now. So this is going to be a 32-second, or not a 32-second burn. We're going to want to burn at T minus 32 seconds. So let's just go ahead and warp towards T minus 32. Three, now. Okay, there we go. And we'll just position right over here. Excellent. It's a very silly mistake, of course, for Bob to forget to pull the plastic peel off of the solar panels. Very, very silly. And now he has to go repair it, so I guess he gets a trip into space. How's that for, you know, encouraging competence? Well, we don't do any competence encouraging here, so it's fine. We're currently about 3 seconds from apoapsis, and we will be there now. Wonderful. Just gonna lock prograde here. Okay. So we'll get into orbit momentarily. We are, of course, falling right now, but that's fine. We have plenty of fuel to get us into orbit. We are officially in orbit as of now. And I don't really care about this being a little bit elliptical. That's fine. That is completely okay. So we are going to set the France ComSat as our target. Now, of course, if we were to attempt to intercept it right now, it wouldn't be in the correct location, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, look at that. We are quite far away from it. So, if we were to not burn normal, thank you very much, or rather radial. If we were to not burn radial, but instead change when we burn this, we're probably going to have to wait an orbit or two because I didn't time the launch. And yeah, it looks like we're going to have to wait an orbit or two. We'll give it 1, 2, and 3 orbits. How's that looking? Needs more. 1, 2, 3 orbits. Yeah, that's nowhere near even close. This isn't super shocking. What we probably want to do is we probably want to push out our apoapsis a bit more and do something a bit like this so that we have our phasing orbits be a little bit more impactful. This is, of course, going to be a prograde burn, and we will go ahead and warp to that maneuver. That's going to be just an 8-second burn, so we'll burn this at T minus 4 seconds. I missed it a little bit. That's okay. It doesn't actually matter when we do this. All we want to do is get our orbit to be substantially elliptical to our target orbit here. Good enough. And that was actually the perfect amount of fuel. We are now out of fuel for this section. Wonderful. We have plenty of fuel to make this happen, though. So at the apoapsis, the question now is, what would this look like if we attempted to do an intercept? So the target would be here, and we would be here. So what about next orbit? That's much closer. Target would be here, and we would be here. That is much, much closer. Now, another orbit might overshoot. Yeah, another orbit would definitely overshoot. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of radial tweaking to get this a little bit closer. This is now a decent-looking intercept. Separation of 162.9 kilometers. We can definitely tweak that. Get a little bit of retrograde in there. And we can get that down to 10.2 kilometers. Maybe even a little closer. No, it looks like 10.2 is the closest we can get with prograde retrograde. We might be able to tweak our radial burn a little bit to get even closer. No. 10.2 is about what we've got there. What about if we changed our normal a little bit? There we go. Just adjust our inclination. 2 kilometers. Oh, this is a great intercept. So we can get into within 0.2 kilometers, it looks like. That's fine. And then the relative speed of 490 meters per second, it's not like we're short on MS. So or rather DV. I don't know why I said MS. We're not short on milliseconds either. But let's go ahead and warp around to here. We're going to have to, of course, do another orbit. And that's okay. We've got enough DV to make this happen. Absolutely. And then we're going to need to, of course, warp around to next maneuver. There we go. We'll give this one more orbit. And then the France ComSat, once we have it repaired, can go out to its final destination. Wonderful. So, of course, this is a bit of a complicated burn. We can't just lock prograde or retrograde. We're going to have to actually align this. It's a 44-second burn. So we're going to want to have this be burning at T minus 22 seconds. And let's go ahead and warp forward towards T minus 22. Okay, give ourselves about an 8-second window here, and we will burn this now. And off we go. Our orbit is adjusting in some complicated ways. But this is absolutely fine. We have a very nice separation here. I'm very, very pleased with that. Node marker is right now, which is why we're at our halfway mark. Gonna have to pursue this node marker probably once we get close to having this, or rather close to having this burn done. I was gonna say orbit, but I mean all of these are orbits, so that doesn't really make sense. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to pursue the marker here a bit. Okay. Let's just get this finished up. 0.3 meters per second. There. Okay, so we're 0.8 kilometers away. That's fine. That is plenty close. We will go ahead and warp to here, which is 19 minutes in the future. Hello, Kerbal. Okay, so the question, of course, is where is our target at? Of course, we want to be in target mode here. There we go. And we're going to approach here. We can see that we are currently about 40 kilometers away, so we can probably see it if we look. Yeah, there it is, right underneath us. 40 kilometers away. We're going to go to target retrograde here because we want to match velocities. You can see that our velocity is currently coming down, so we're going to want to do this burn here in about a minute. Once our target velocity starts increasing. Technically, we want to do it very shortly, but I'm going to hold off on that for right now. Okay, that was our closest approach, and I probably should have been burning sooner. Actually, I definitely should have been burning sooner. This is going to be a waste of fuel. I certainly should have burned a lot sooner, but that's fine. We have plenty of fuel to make this happen. But that was definitely a mistake. I should have burned much sooner. For some reason, I was thinking that we had a lot more thrust to weight here than we do. I have no idea why I thought that. It makes no sense to think it. But that's fine. We are still plenty close to make this happen. We're currently adopting the same exact orbit as our target. And we're going to continue burning towards the target. In fact, I'm going to burn slightly off of retrograde here because I want to be burning towards target. Is what we want right now. And we'll just bring this up to around 10 meters per second towards the target. Good enough. Now, this isn't going to get us exactly on the target because we had some awkward velocities there. You can see here we're moving a little bit away from the target, but that's fine. We are going to continue closing in on the target here, although our speed is decreasing. This is not super shocking, in all honesty. Let's go ahead and burn towards target a little bit. Actually, no, we should kill our relative velocity right now and get a more accurate burn towards target is what we should do. So we'll kill our relative velocity now. Okay. Get that relative velocity killed. Good enough. And we are going to now burn towards the target, which should be over this way. Yes. And we're going to burn towards the target at a decent clip here. I'm not sure what just changed. Ah, we were technically suborbital for a little bit there. Okay, that's completely fine. We are, of course, going to be killing our velocity again once we get a little bit closer to this guy. And we were actually, I think, yeah, we were actually in the atmosphere there for a bit. But that's okay. No real concerns about that one. So what is our current closest approach? Our current closest approach is about 8 kilometers, and that is, of course, because we were getting atmospheric drag. I didn't actually realize that, but I should have. I absolutely should have realized that. Okay, we're now going to burn towards that target again. This is not necessarily the best way to get to the target, but it'll do. We'll burn at about 30 ms. That'll be fine. And then we'll flip back to target retrograde. And you can see here that our periapsis is still in the atmosphere. So once we hit apoapsis, which is over here, then we're going to start falling down again. But we have time right now to get linked up with this guy. So we're just going to warp a little bit closer here. We're about 5 kilometers out. 4 kilometers out. 3, 2. What is our nearest approach? Separation of... This is not accurate. Our nearest approach is going to be about here, actually. Looks like. So we'll go ahead and kill our relative velocity again. 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll enter a parallel orbit. Close enough. And we'll get closer again. That atmospheric drag definitely made things complicated. We'll move in at about 10 meters per second. And that is now, at the apoapsis, a separation of 700 meters. Perfect. So we will warp here. There we go. And we'll position retrograde. And we will burn to kill this relative velocity and then get just a little bit closer. Now we should be in a pretty good position to get closer. So we will burn towards the target at about 5 meters per second. Like that. And then we'll flip around retrograde. I should have realized when we got the physics warp rather than the regular warp what was going on. That's for sure. Regardless, it doesn't matter. We're still fine. So we are closing in here. I do want to see what our actual separation is. Okay, we should warp to here about a minute in the future. And then we will, of course, kill our relative velocity again. I'm going to cancel that auto time warp. Okay. There we go. And we're going to get just a tiny bit closer one last time. Just going to go 2 meters per second. There we go. And technically we have completed our rendezvous. But we're not done yet. We have to repair this thing. Because Bob was dumb. And forgot to remove the plastic covering on the solar panels. Let's go ahead and close on in here. Hopefully we don't impact it. Currently about 30 meters per second. Or 30 meters away, rather. And I'm just going to close in a little bit closer. We'll go ahead and kill our relative velocity now. Excellent. Bob, you got to go fix those solar panels, bud. He's like, fine. Okay, so Bob is on his way over now. He has impacted the solar panels. Good job. Okay, so there's one solar panel fixed. Just got to get that sweet, sweet plastic peel. There's 2. He forgot to do this on all of them, by the way. How silly of him. There we go. There's his 3rd one. And there we go. He got the 4th one done. Let's go home, Bob. Now the question is, which of these is the capsule? Or rather the hatch. It is this one. Fine. Okay. And in we go. If I had my angle correct. There we go. In we go. Okay, so we are done with servicing this. That is great. We are going to position for heading back. Now, we are currently in orbit, and this is fine. We're going to leave these guys here for the moment because we are now going to make sure that this functions appropriately. And I believe it will. So we're going to go ahead and do a prograde burn. No, not a radial burn. Can we not do this? Thank you. No. Can we not do this? I want to drag. I just want to drag it. Okay, I guess we're going to do a new one. We're going to do a prograde burn, and we're going to raise this out. That's way more than I want. We're going to raise this out to just below escape velocity. Like this. That'll do. Okay, and we're going to want to burn this ASAP. We are nowhere near the prograde marker, though, but now that our solar panels are functional, we can get this turned. Meanwhile, our astronauts are watching to make sure this all works according to plan, which it should. It absolutely should. So we will get over to prograde, and we will go ahead and do this burn. I don't actually care about this maneuver node specifically, but off we go. Goodbye. Thanks for the repair. Not much of a repair. We just needed to remove the protective covering. But that is completely fine. Excellent. So we are, of course, just going to continue this burn for a little while. I'm actually going to physics warp this burn. And, oh, that's very responsive. That is way too responsive while physics warping. Okay. We will just position it right here in the prograde marker. And I really wish that we could lock prograde. Unfortunately, we cannot. So we'll just try to hold here. And yeah, we're going to rock back and forth a little bit. And yeah, it's going to be obnoxious. And yeah, we overshot. Let's not do that. Let's bring this right on back. There we go. That is kind of perfect, but I'm going to bring it back just ever so slightly. And then at this apoapsis, we're going to just push that on out until we are basically as wide as we can get. Although that is not exactly spherical. We're going to push that out a little bit further. I'd like it to be even further. We'll have to adjust the positioning here, like that. There. That's what we want. This is only a 13-second burn, by the way. So we'll go ahead and not warp to that maneuver. But what we are going to do is we are going to switch back to the Kerbonauts. There we go. And we're going to bring them down while they're waiting on that, because that's 26 days, right? So no point whatsoever in waiting on that one. So we're going to go ahead and do a rather rapid re-entry here. We're going to come on down to around 20 kilometers here. Excellent. And we'll try to recover all of this. We'll go ahead and physics warp, or rather time warp, as we re-enter. There we go. We are re-entering now. And I'm actually going to burn off this entire tank. Burning off like this. We'll go ahead and physics warp the burn because we are kind of going a little over on this episode, but there's still more that I want to do. So we're going to hold off on that. There we go. We'll just burn this entire tank off. Perfect. And we'll just keep 10 seconds of burn time for our landing burn. There we go. 9 seconds is good enough. Okay, so this is going to be a very energetic re-entry, I think. Well, we're only moving at 1,000 meters per second right now. We definitely need to drop a little bit here. And we're going to be accelerating for a bit. This is maybe a little dangerous. Well, we do have a little bit of fuel left if we need to burn it off in a re-entry burn. There's not much air between us and the ground. I may have been a little overzealous with that burn. Maybe should have let us fall a little further first. Let's go ahead and go into radar altitude. We are still accelerating, but we're going pretty slow already, so I think we're reasonably okay. Yeah, we're beginning to decelerate now. We're fine. We're completely fine. No worries here. This is perhaps the most fine I've ever been. Already under 1 kilometer per second. Very nice. I'm not going to decouple this if we can get away with it, which in fact we can. We can absolutely get away with that. And our drogue chutes are deployable as of now. Out go our drogue chutes. And our main will be deployable now as well. We'll go ahead and physics warp to the ground. Nice quick deorbit. Excellent. Drogues deploy. Main deploys. And we're just going to gently fall on down to the ground. I'm not even going to do a landing burn here. It's not necessary. We'll just get down as quick as we can. There we go. I turned the SAS off. The SAS probably could have held us upright, but that's fine. We'll recover that. Wonderful. So there's our service mission done and our rendezvous contract completed. That is great. I'm hoping that that gives us a moon contract. That's the reason I did that, because it seems to only ever give you one of those Exploration Society ones. This one is transferring crew between vessels near Kerbal. That is not necessarily ideal. Science data from surface of the moon. This is something that we'll do. We're also eventually going to do this, so I'll take it. So that'll be fine. But there is one last thing that I want to do this episode. And that is, of course, this ComSat. I want to get it into its final orbit. We do need to warp forward about 26 days, but that's fine. We will definitely go ahead and do that. We'll warp to our next maneuver. Goodbye, Kerbal. This is not exactly the longest range of antennae, but it'll be okay, I think. We still have some distance to go here, but we're moving pretty slowly at this point, so that's fine. Yeah, we're completely okay on our signal strength. No worries there. However, it is long past time to put a cut in, so I'm going to do that after this burn. And I'll go ahead and do the outro now, while we're waiting to get to the burn point. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and let's get this burn finished up. We do still have another 2 days in this time warp, but it is finishing up now. So we're going to want to burn this at T-minus 7.5 seconds, and we're just going to very slowly turn up to the maneuver node. There we go. And we will burn this once again at 7.5 seconds. Warp towards that. Okay. And we will burn this now. There we go. Get ourselves a little bit of orbital speed as we approach apoapsis. We'll need to double check that this does not put us out into the Kerbal escape, because we don't want that. That is the last thing that we want right now. Just doing a little bit of node chasing. Good enough. That'll do. Excellent. That is a nice communication satellite for us. It'd be better if it had longer range, but it will do. See you all next time.